There isn't a word to describe how obscure this game is. To the players that still remember this version, please comment below any memories you have of the game, because I only have the faintest of memories. Anyways, welcome to Nostalgia Bait. Everyone has at least one game or website they love from back in the day that became lost to time. That game for me and many other kids and tweens of the late 2000s was SuperSecret. SuperSecret technically had two versions, one before 2011 and one after 2011. We are going to talk about the version prior to 2011, because the one after 2011 was infamous with the player base for removing everything we loved about the game. SuperSecret was very similar to other social MMOs of the time in many ways, but there was one distinct difference that made it different from other games. Instead of levels, they had an age mechanic. You started off at 10 years old and slowly age your avatar up to unlock a dorm room, cars, pets, and even a multitude of secrets you can discover, hence the name. I personally think the game didn't do well because everything past the age of 12 was locked to membership, even though I still played and I was permanently stuck at 12 years old. I would talk about the company in this section, but there's barely anything you can find about the original company behind the 2D version of SuperSecret, other than supposedly it was called SuperSecret Inc. and that the co-founders were Tony Espinosa and Ted Barnett. So, why am I talking about a game that most likely would be fully lost to time in the next few decades? And the answer to that is because there's still a subset of fans that wish to see the game be revived somehow, even if everything is slightly different. We don't have the exact registration number of the original game or even major milestones, but we do have a couple of reviews from journalists and their children. One of those reviews was from a Wired journalist whose twins found the game fun and played for hours, even on the non-membership version of the game. And over a decade later, the only things remaining are screenshots, mostly from mobile games and the game's Facebook page, videos that fans recorded, the knowledge that many of the minigames were licensed Flash games, a couple of articles, very old social media accounts, and one song that booted up every single time you played, and that song was Buy a Dog by Loose. Now let's dive into what we still have left of the game. Like I said previously, SuperSecret had an age system instead of a traditional leveling system. You earned age points to level up instead of things like XP. The main currency you had in the game was called spenders, which you could use to buy clothes, cars, dorm decors, and even stuff for your pets. Everything was age locked, which means if you weren't a member, you wouldn't have access to the cooler clothing, hairs, and items that older players had. Though free-to-play players did have the ability to have a dorm and a pet fairly early on. You earned spenders and age points by playing minigames and completing quests. I don't remember what the quests were like outside of the screenshots I saw from Moby Games, because I was 8 when I played, and a lot of my memories were bouncing between multiple different minigames at the time. But from what I'm finding is that most quests were puzzle or task related. Pranks and gifts were also a big mechanic in the game. You're able to give your friends either very sweet gifts or gross sneaks. I wish I remember what sneaks were available since I was pranked constantly by my friends, but I do remember some of the sweeter ones like candy and chocolates. The art style of SuperSecret was nothing like any other game of the time. Everything was hand-drawn, and it looked painted on, unlike all the simple vector art of other MMOs. Younger players that didn't have membership had more simple and casual clothes. T-shirts with graphics, shorts, jeans, and basic pieces of clothes that you wouldn't see on older membership-holding players. And the hairstyles were also simple and childish, but that was expected. I remember bits and pieces of my avatar since I cared a lot about my character's visuals, but she had black shoulder-length hair with bangs and a pink ombre top and shorts. I don't remember the shoes I had on though. That was the best I could do as a permanent non-member at the time. Older players had it good though, because they were able to dye their hair and choose trendy clothes for the time, or stuff that felt scandalous for an 8-year-old, even though it was just a sleeveless sundress. I do remember some of the chat functionality though. If your avatar was under 12 in the game, you weren't able to talk using the super chat option, which was a heavily filtered free chat. You were stuck using bubble chat and I think emotes? I wasn't technically old enough for free chat on many games, but I had my own email, so I gave myself free chat whenever I played games. Looking back, it was kinda dumb, but that made me realize I understood loopholes when I was younger. Then in 2011, disaster struck. Okay, maybe I'm being a bit dramatic, but when SuperSecret was acquired by Jumpstart, everything changed. The once hand-drawn 2D game I loved turned into a 3D game that looked like another one of Jumpstart's other games. They removed the age system in favor of a style point system and essentially made it a watered-down version of the world of Jumpstart, and reactions from fans were negative to say the least. There were change.org petitions begging Jumpstart to revert the changes back to the original 2D version of the game, or at least let both versions coexist, one of which reached a bit over 500 signatures before it was closed. I don't remember the switch or when it exactly happened, honestly. I just remember trying to go back to the game a couple years later and realizing that it didn't exist anymore. And although there was backlash, Jumpstart kept updating 3D SuperSecret until 2014, keeping it alive but barely functioning afterwards until the company shut down in 2023. I was able to try it out sometime during the pandemic to see what the new version was like, and I left after only playing it for like 15 to 30 minutes. I wish I had good news about the game, or any fan-made spin-offs are in the works, but there's nothing more than what we already have right now. The closest thing that is in the works is my indie solo project, where I'm trying to make an MMO inspired by SuperSecret and our world, but it obviously will take a while until I have working beta, and it won't be the same as getting any version of the game back. However, for the Jumpstart fans, there is a Jumpstart private server recreated by fans that has been around since 2024. If you want to relive your childhood in the world of Jumpstart all over again. But for the original fans of SuperSecret, we can only hope that someone is able to somehow get the data and files needed to revive the game in the future, though the chances are impossibly slim. I don't think that ending is what people wanted to hear, especially after seeing so many old games survive and get revived from back in the day. That was everything I was able to find about the original version of SuperSecret. If you want a bigger deep dive of the Jumpstart version of SuperSecret, you can check out Izzy's video. I'll link it in the description. But if this video helped jog your memory, feel free to comment below. I want to see what other players remember from years ago. At the end of the day, I guess it really did keep its promise. It's still secret, just not the fun kind. Thanks for watching. See y'all next time.